Hello everyone. Today's talk will be titled How to Handle the Unkind. And so in human experience, when human beings communicate, there are moments where some beings are not sensitive to other beings' realities. So they are allowing themselves to crush, to dominate, and to be cruel in some manner. And so in some level you see survival of the fittest going on, and on another level you see that on some level, as we're surviving, it's like the more we live like an animal, the more we're saying there's no need to live like that. So similarly, man begins to wonder of what the nature of his function is in this world. And as you do, you're questioning your intelligence. And so you must see if the ideas you have on it are sufficient or your experience needs to fulfill something it has not yet looked at. An unkind person is one who is not existentially attuned. What that means is they're not existentially sensitive to what must be taken care of in life. So what that means is, like, some people are looking and trying to cultivate a very nice garden that will inspire man and the youth, and at the same time someone's just running with his muddy boots of, industrially made over this, very beautiful garden that is here, right? So we begin to kind of see that our valuations are different, and based on that difference, different human beings are fighting for different causes, where we should recognize that we are all our cause, that humanity is untouched as a species. But in its own separation and illusion and gains, it does create unneeded warfare. Sometimes you will see that your reality is waiting for you to understand some things until certain things happen. And lessons come in different ways, where sometimes the lesson does not give you anything in an instant, that it's like a seed planted, and sometimes the lesson is a gift that the student has been waiting for. And so when it's a gift, you begin to see that once you cherish all manifestation, all reality, blissfully, gratefully, and the way it is, you are allowing a space of compassionate co-creation where the search is not disturbing the rhythm of the life form. For example, the way men are handling animals is not a good sign, because the children or youth are going to look at it and it's like, okay, wait a minute, they're handling animals like this, so if there was some being that could make man his animal, would he treat it like this? Do you see that mentality? So we need to be aware that we need to be compassionate to all life forms, make it a generality, and stop bashing your own judgments, on people. The unkind are unkind because there is a self that feels more superior than other selves. You must be immediately aware of this self and prevent yourself from getting too arrogant. Because the part with arrogance was not that you were hurting the people around you, was that you were walking blindly somewhere. And so there's a saying that there's always signs guiding you to your next action. And sometimes people don't take those signs because they believe the signs are the challenge, and they need to challenge the signs. And in a sense, you forget who you are because you have made your attention constantly on building a self who will be successful, in quotations. I think, success is nice, but you see that we are all walking to the grave. So the significance of the search and the dimensions of it must be enhanced beyond the current, so we must give a transcendent quality to our nature of being. And as this is done, we begin to see that all linearity was observed through nonlinear view, and all nonlinearity was observed through linear view. So are we playing games with ourselves by not acknowledging our practice and sensory perception properly? Or are we assuming that the objective world is just that and that's it? Are we choosing to take, in a sense, a cowardly approach into an idea and not looking further? You need to decide how intense you want to project yourself in this world, and what that means is how much you want to see where everything is coming from. What that means is sometimes that kid who's young, who's always saying, why does this come from this? Why? As if the kids just learn the word why, you know. As Kevin Hart knows by experience. You begin to see that kind of questioning is one where it must not be lost or pushed aside, but it must be allowed to be cultivated properly. So deep ideas must be introduced to keep us situationally aware in this existence of what is significant. Honor, discipline, character, these are things you need as you work with an idea. If you don't have these, you do not have a foundation, and it's not that you don't have the ability of doing things, you just don't know where to start. And so once you commit to a decision, try to become just like how Gladiator was in that scene and how much he knew how that war was going to end at the beginning of the Gladiator movie. Your victory must be an existential allowance which is sincerely given to you. As it is sincerely given, then your reward becomes your promotion into your next act. So the healthy way of even working with creating more and more newer phenomena in your experience is by saying that you are not that limited creator. The creator is unknown, the creation can be infinite, and there man has an ability beyond the temporal objectification of the human form. So perhaps what I find to be very interesting is that consciousness must be allowed to be talked about, and we must create some kind of intelligent one student mind. Whereas if we just acknowledge every human being as a student of life. And this student of life begins to, in a sense, communicating his experiences and the stories that have come with those experiences to others around his environment. As experience is shared through language, mankind creates a new abstract realm in regards to co-creation with his fellow man in ways where we are, through our multidimensional observance of ability of taking this reality, adding a depth because we have abstraction. So our infinite space of thought within us, simply our ability to imagine whatever, similar to how I'm saying these words and imagery is coming to you, from that openness of how natural imagery is coming, we must utilize our experience in bringing about our greatest creation. So you want the creativity level of the human being from the minute if he's born increasing, and this must be done with an environment that is existentially allowing. So if you can handle people's survival, just begin helping everyone. You want human beings to be maintained in ways where they can handle their experience better, because we know we're eternal, so it's just the human experience. It's just the simulation that needs to be aligned, and it doesn't have to be aligned, but it can be aligned. So let us see where our vision can go. I realize we can't talk about world peace now because we don't know who we are to be peaceful. And so peace has to be an ability beyond the self, beyond a patriotism that is smiling at weapons being used to bring warfare. Do you know, we need our lives to be in a clarity that is existentially aware. It's simple, it's there, it's present. It's not a huge thing, but it's a thing in which you will give yourself the gift of knowing it. And we can work with this multidimensionality. Forget the word spiritual, forget any other term aside from an unknown multidimensional intelligence which is present within man in this moment. You have a transcendent sense of intelligence where your awareness to your awareness is everything. And that knowing is profound because it's beyond thingness, so it's no thing. It's a very interesting phenomenon, I find, and it's one where Mr. Within finds it's time to talk about it. Yeah, we need to talk about existence. And so the unkind as their self-awareness increases, they will begin seeing that they do not need to change external reality to survive or to look tough or to be in a certain way. They need to find within themselves a certain manner where they will respect their life process. So once you live your life in a way whereas they did back in the day divine, that meant that that divinity was a symbol of living as life. Simply as that. Your experience then is allowed by tapping into that nature and not constantly being forced into an individual idea. Self-observance originates clarity because it shows you where the origin is. And that knowing is profound. So visualize the knowing that you have. If I told you where's your house, you know where your house is, so you see, you know it. There's that level of knowing, and there's a level of knowing which it is no longer you as an individual body or an idea knowing something individual. It's like an individual being a collective experience of all that is, because it is aware of how its individuality is formed. Once you see where the strings of individuality lead, it's always a collective end. Do you know? So this knowing will work with you, and you need to develop many relationships with your existence, in the sense that you're aligning it in ways that serve you. So you develop for yourself your own greater system, and if it works, share. Share your consciousness technology in quotation. Because you see, there's some men who, when I looked at the world, I realized technology was the most significant thing you could evolve here, because technology is judging it off, and the technologies that are coming. So when I looked at technology, I right now cannot be in that sector and just work in the technology industry. But I can totally see that that's one aspect of technology. Another aspect of technology is the users of technology. So what Mr. Within is also contributing is making self-aware users of technology by making them realize where it's coming from. Don't let your questions reduce. Ask deeper questions. That kid who was asking so many questions, learn from him. And in a sense, follow life in new ways. Experience life in new ways. If you're that person constantly lost to the ritual that is presented in religion, you need to realize religion has different experiences in regards to space and time. So religious men, there are some men who don't have deep experiences of space and time, and there are some who do have through the text. And if you go to cathedrals in ancient Europe, you will begin to see them. That there were people who had visions, and so these Gnostics communicated many things and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. It is all about human experience, and we should realize this and stop fighting. Because just those who govern, or those who individually try to be a significance of all the rest, cannot be maintained if the rest changes their mind. What that means is leaders must be human beings in which the whole collective energy of the planet is guiding. Similar to how Gaia, the planet, makes mountains with a peak, similarly in human consciousness, certain men will rise in the way that they're guided to. And you will see it's because the race and the species is getting an understanding of collectivity. It's like, oh my God, who would have thought the next level of transcendence after the mankind, after the ape had evolved, was that all men together were a new conscious awareness of a being. And so it's a fantastic moment when a species gets its first collective birthday in regards to collective consciousness, because it's showing that mankind is not limited, because he is the ability to limitlessly create his experience into further dimensions of space and time as he chooses. And I hope with this, their knowing of what life is has come to you, and in a sense will come to you. Trust me, I thought I could stay away from this stuff, that I did. For a second, spirituality became like a story to me, so I didn't like it anymore. Then suddenly I realized, we call something like spirituality, we give it a term. But when you see what it is your deeper and greater experience with this life. And that is when self-awareness again becomes very valuable for you to study. As in you are studying self-awareness, and so it doesn't matter. There's no student guru, there's just an experience expanding within itself. And you shall see all walks have been beautifully taken. You have walked this life well, because there's no need for a bad interpretation, because you want to create value in your moment, which is always observed by you in a valueless way. So words and ideas no longer bother you because you're aware of what they're creating, and suddenly you're listening and your awareness to thought has changed because your dimension of perception has increased. And so that is when the pilot has landed the plane of existence properly through his communication. This plane of existence is a beautiful one, and it is a great reference point to move beyond reference. And all men deserve to give themselves the gift of greater understanding. Much blessings and namaste.